Ma'am, I already told you, we don't have tables for your kind of people tonight. The hostess's voice slices through the elegant dining room like a blade dipped in poison. 30 pairs of eyes pivot toward the entrance. There stands a woman in a tailored black dress, her designer clutch trembling slightly in manicured hands. The marble floors she's standing on, she chose them herself 3 years ago. The crystal chandeliers casting shadows across her face, she'd designed the lighting plan personally. The classical music floating through hidden speakers, she approved every playlist herself. The imported Italian furniture arranged perfectly throughout the space, every piece hand-selected during her European buying trip. What happens in the next 8 minutes will shatter this upscale restaurant's understanding of power, privilege, and consequences forever. This woman will deliver the most devastating corporate takedown in hospitality history without raising her voice once. Have you ever been so publicly humiliated that you fantasized about the perfect revenge? Tonight, someone gets theirs. 7 minutes until everything changes. Victoria Thompson adjusts her Hermes scarf and surveys the dining room. The hostess, a blonde college student whose name tag reads Madison, doesn't recognize the face that appears on the first page of every employee handbook in this building. "Miss, you need to leave." Madison's voice carries that practiced disdain perfected by gatekeepers everywhere. "We have a dress code here, and frankly, your presence is making our guests uncomfortable." The dining room falls silent. Conversations halt mid-sentence. Wine glasses pause at lips. Even the soft jazz seems to lower its volume in anticipation of what's coming. Victoria's dark eyes sweep across faces she's memorized from quarterly profit reports. The tech executive at Table 7 who drops $800 monthly on business dinners. The judge's wife who books charity galas here every season. The city councilman who voted for tax breaks on this very establishment just last year. They're all watching, they're all judging. They're all about to witness something that will haunt their social media feeds for months to come. Victoria's fingers brush against something metallic in her purse. A small, platinum key fob, custom engraved with initials that would end this humiliation instantly. But she doesn't pull it out. Not yet. Because sometimes, the most powerful revenge requires patience. Sometimes, justice demands a stage. 5 minutes remaining. "I'm calling security," Madison announces, her voice carrying across Italian marble floors that cost more than most people's annual salaries. Manager Robert Williams emerges from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a towel. His face already wears that mask of assumed authority that middle management perfects. The look that says he's about to handle an undesirable situation with practiced efficiency. "Problem here, Madison?" Robert's eyes narrow as they land on Victoria. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This is a private establishment." Victoria's voice remains steady, controlled, dangerous in its calmness. "I'd like to speak with the general manager." "That's me, and I'm telling you to go." Robert crosses his arms, puffing out his chest like a peacock, displaying dominance. "We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone." The tech executive leans forward, his $3,000 dinner forgotten. He recognizes this dance. He's seen it before, in boardrooms and country clubs across America. The casual cruelty of exclusion wrapped in corporate policy and delivered with a smile. The judge's wife slides her phone from her purse, thumb hovering over the record button. This is about to become content. This is about to become evidence. A young couple near the bar exchanges knowing glances. The woman whispers to her companion, "This is exactly what happened to my sister at that place in Beverly Hills. Same attitude, same words." Victoria catalogs every word, every sneer, every violation of policies she wrote herself. Her mind works like a legal brief, building a case that will be airtight and devastating when the time comes. 3 minutes. "Tony?" "We need you up front," Robert barks into his radio. "We've got a situation that needs immediate resolution. We've got a situation that needs immediate resolution." Security guard Anthony Rodriguez approaches, his hand instinctively moving to his radio. Former military police, his posture still carries that disciplined bearing that 20 years in the service drills into your bones. His eyes show reluctance. He's done this before, and he hates this part of the job. "Ma'am, please don't make this difficult," Anthony says, his voice carrying more resignation than aggression. "I don't want any trouble here." Victoria studies Anthony's face carefully. She sees something different there, something that gives her hope for what comes next, something that tells her not everyone in this building has forgotten their humanity. "I understand," Victoria says quietly. "But before I go, I have one question." "Make it quick," Robert snaps, already savoring his small victory over someone he assumes has no power. Victoria reaches into her purse, her fingers closing around 2 items. The platinum key fob that will change everything, and a business card that will rewrite the power dynamics of this entire room in a matter of seconds. But first, she needs to set the stage perfectly. Robert Williams, employee ID 4847, hired 18 months ago. Is that correct? Robert's confident smirk falters like a house of cards in the wind. "How do you..." And Madison Davis, part-time hostess, student at State University, also hired 18 months ago through our campus recruiting program. The room grows impossibly quiet. Even the kitchen sounds seem muted, as if the entire building is holding its breath for what comes next. Madison's face goes pale as winter snow. I don't understand. How do you know our..." "Anthony Rodriguez," Victoria continues, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "Veteran hiring initiative. Daughter Sophia, Berkeley pre-med student. Full scholarship from the Employee Family Education Fund." Anthony takes a step back, his military training the only thing keeping him upright. "Ma'am, who are you?" Victoria's smile is slight, controlled, devastating in its quiet confidence. "I'm someone who believes in second chances, someone who believes people can grow, learn, change." Her voice carries clearly through the absolute silence. "I'm someone who has spent 3 years building something beautiful here." She pauses, letting the weight of her words settle like dust after an explosion. "But I'm also someone who refuses to be disrespected in my own..." Her phone buzzes with an urgent text from her CFO. "Board meeting moved to 9 p.m. Q3 numbers are phenomenal. Investors are impressed with..." Flagship location performance. Victoria looks up at Robert, at Madison, at Anthony, at the 37 pairs of eyes witnessing this moment that will define careers, destroy reputations, and reshape an entire company's future. "Robert, Madison, Anthony..." Her voice is calm, measured, final as a judge's gavel. "I want you to think very carefully about what happens next. Because in 90 seconds, I'm going to show you something that will change the trajectory of all your lives." She pulls out her phone, scrolls to a contact labeled Restaurant Manager Emergency Line. 60 seconds. "Actually," Victoria says, her thumb hovering over the call button, "let me ask you one more question." 30 seconds. Robert's face shifts from pale to gray. Madison's hands begin to shake like autumn leaves. Anthony's military bearing cracks slightly. 15 seconds. "Do any of you recognize the name Victoria Thompson?" Robert's legs buckle. He grabs the host stand for support. Madison's eyes widen in recognition and pure terror. Anthony straightens to attention, understanding flooding his face like a tsunami. 5 seconds. Victoria's thumb touches the screen. The call connects. The phone rings once. Victoria puts it on speaker. "Thompson Holdings, this is Marcus." The name hits the dining room like a physical force. Conversations that had resumed in whispers die completely. The tech executive's fork clatters against his plate like a bell tolling doom. The judge's wife's phone trembles in her hands as she realizes she's recording corporate history in real time. "Marcus, it's Victoria. I'm standing in the main dining room of our flagship restaurant." Robert's world tilts off its axis. Thompson Holdings. The parent company. The empire worth $47 million that owns not just this restaurant, but 12 others across 3 states. The company he's worked for without ever knowing who really owned it. "Mrs. Thompson." Marcus's voice carries concern and confusion. "Is everything all right?" Victoria's eyes never leave Robert's face as she responds with surgical precision. "I need you to pull the employee files for Robert Williams, Madison Davis, and Anthony Rodriguez, right now." Madison's knees buckle. She grabs onto the host stand, her college student confidence evaporating like steam. Anthony stands at rigid attention, his military training keeping him upright, while his mind processes the magnitude of what's happening. The dining room has become a theater. Every guest is now an audience member, witnessing the most dramatic reversal of power they've ever seen in person. "Files pulled, Ms. Thompson. What do you need?" Victoria surveys the room methodically. 37 people. 17 phones now recording. Social media notifications already pinging as the first videos upload to TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. This moment will be viral within the hour. "Read me their anti-discrimination training completion dates." Robert's mouth opens and closes soundlessly. He looks like a fish drowning in air, his face cycling through colors that don't exist in nature. "Robert Williams." Marcus's voice carries clearly through the speaker, each word a nail in Robert's professional coffin. "Anti-discrimination training, never completed. 3 warnings on file for inappropriate comments to female staff members. 2 complaints from customers regarding discriminatory behavior in the past 6 months. The tech executive pulls out his own phone, fingers flying across the screen. He's posting this live to his business network. His followers include local news producers, city council members, business leaders. This story is about to explode beyond this dining room. Madison Davis, training completed but failed the final assessment twice. Placed on probation for discriminatory seating practices, reported by customers in March and April. Madison slides down the host stand until she's sitting on the floor, her uniform skirt pooling around her. Tears stream down her face as she realizes her part-time job just became a career-ending scandal that will follow her forever. Anthony Rodriguez, training completed with highest marks, exemplary service record, 0 complaints, model employee. Victoria nods at Anthony with genuine respect. "Anthony, you can return to your post. You are following orders based on false information." Anthony hesitates, his military bearing warring with personal shame. "Yes, ma'am, and I'm deeply sorry for my role in this situation." Victoria's voice softens slightly, showing the first crack in her professional armor. "You did your job, Anthony. You're not the problem here." Anthony retreats, but not before shooting Robert a look that could melt steel. His daughter's scholarship, his family's health insurance, his veteran colleagues' jobs, all threatened by Robert's incompetence and willful ignorance. Word spreads through the restaurant like wildfire in drought conditions. Kitchen staff begin emerging from the back, drawn by the commotion. Servers abandon their tables, gathering at the edges of the dining room like moths to a flame. As Victoria turns to Robert and Madison, her voice calm but carrying the weight of absolute authority. "So we have a manager who never completed required training, and a hostess who failed it twice. Both employees who just discriminated against their own CEO." Robert finds his voice, though it cracks like a teenager's. "Miss Thompson, I had no idea." I'm so sorry. I made a terrible mistake. You're sorry you got caught. Victoria cuts him off with surgical precision. Marcus, what's our company policy on discrimination incidents? Immediate suspense in pending investigation. If discrimination is proven with witnesses, termination is mandatory under corporate policy, section 12.3. The judge's wife gasps audibly. She's been recording for 5 minutes now, her video already shared to her social justice advocacy group with 12,000 members. Robert's voice becomes desperate, pleading. Please, Ms. Thompson. My son. He's got medical bills from his surgery. The cancer treatment. I can't lose this job. I'll do anything. I'll take training. Victoria's expression doesn't change. The same medical bills our company covered through the Employee Hardship Fund, the fund that paid for his chemotherapy? Robert's face crumbles completely. The irony is devastating. Even as she destroys his career, she's been saving his son's life. Victoria reaches into her purse again, this time pulling out a thick folder marked Confidential Discrimination Incidents. Marcus, there's something else. I need you to pull up the restaurant's performance metrics for the past 6 months. Moment. Ms. Thompson, are you sure you want to discuss this with... They need to hear this. All of them. Victoria's eyes sweep the dining room. Every guest is transfixed. Some are live streaming to thousands of followers. Others are texting frantically. The story is spreading in real time across social networks, local news groups, business forums. This isn't just about Robert and Madison anymore. This is about accountability, justice, and the power of consequences delivered with devastating calm. Our customer satisfaction scores have dropped 23% in the past 6 months. Guest complaints about staff treatment have increased 89%. We've lost $340,000 in repeat business. Robert's knees buckle completely. He grabs a chair to keep from falling, his face the color of ash. But the most damaging statistic, Victoria continues, opening the folder with the care of someone handling evidence, is this. 67% of complaint calls specifically mention feeling unwelcome or judged by front-of-house staff. She holds up the folder, thick with documentation. This folder contains 23 documented cases of discrimination at this location in the past 6 months. The dining room is dead silent except for the soft pings of social media notifications and the gentle hum of the air conditioning. The tables are dusky white, the windows overset with... Victoria's voice drops to barely above a whisper, but in the silence, every word carries like thunder across mountains. Tonight makes 24. Her phone buzzes with an incoming call. The caller ID shows, Board Chairman Emergency. Victoria looks at Robert, at Madison, at the crowd of staff and guests witnessing this corporate reckoning that will be studied in business schools for decades. And now, she says, accepting the call, it's time for the real conversation to begin. Victoria accepts the call, putting it on speaker for the entire dining room to hear. Victoria, what the hell is happening? Board Chairman William Patterson's voice booms through the speaker. Social media is exploding. We've got videos going viral, news stations calling our corporate line. Are you safe? The tech executive looks up from his phone, eyes wide with recognition. His tweet has already been retweeted 4,000 times. The hashtag restaurant discrimination is trending locally, climbing toward national attention. I'm perfectly safe, William. I'm addressing a code red discrimination incident at our flagship location. Victoria's voice remains steady, but there's steel underneath that could cut diamonds. I need emergency authorization for Operation Clean Slate. Robert's face goes from gray to green. Operation Clean Slate isn't a policy he's heard of, but the military precision of the name terrifies him to his core. You have full authorization, William responds immediately. Board members, are you all on the line? Patterson here. Rodriguez present. Johnson standing by. Williams connected. Davis on the call. 5 board members. Victoria just summoned the entire executive leadership of a $47 million company to witness Robert and Madison's downfall in real time, broadcast live to a dining room full of witnesses. I need every employee at this location, all 47 of them, to report to the main dining room immediately. I'm conducting a real-time discrimination audit. The words hit like a nuclear bomb. A discrimination audit. Not just firing Robert and Madison, an investigation into the entire staff, every employee, every interaction, every potential incident. Robert stumbles backward, his hand clutching his chest as if he's having a heart attack. All of them? You can't just... I can, and I will. Victoria's voice hardens like cooling metal. Marcus, what's the legal liability for a documented discrimination incident under federal law? Marcus's voice carries the weight of legal expertise and years of corporate experience. Under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, up to $300,000 per incident in damages. Under California's Unruh Civil Rights Act, additional punitive damages up to 4 times actual damages. With 24 documented cases, the math is staggering, $7.2 million in potential liability. The judge's wife gasps audibly, her legal background helping her grasp the magnitude of financial devastation. And our corporate reputation insurance, Victoria continues relentlessly, doesn't cover discrimination if management knew about ongoing incidents and failed to take corrective action. Robert realizes his warnings, his complaints, his failure to complete training. It's all documented. Victoria's company is legally exposed because of his negligence, and now she has grounds to hold him personally liable. Kitchen staff begin filing into the dining room like defendants entering a courtroom. Servers, bussers, bartenders, assistant managers, all looking confused and terrified. Word has spread through the back of house like wildfire. Victoria stands at the center of her own dining room, commanding the space she designed from scratch. Her presence fills the room with quiet authority that demands attention and respect. Staff of Thompson Holdings' flagship restaurant, Victoria begins, her voice carrying easily through the space. I am Victoria Thompson, your CEO. Tonight, I experienced discrimination from your colleagues. But this isn't about tonight. This is about a pattern. She opens the thick folder, papers rustling like autumn leaves before a storm. Sarah Martinez, server, March 15th. Refused to serve an interracial couple, claiming they didn't belong here. Customer complaint filed, no action taken by management. The takeout. A server near the back shifts uncomfortably. Others look around, recognizing names, remembering incidents they witnessed but never reported. Michael Anderson, bartender, April 3rd, told a Hispanic family the bar was closed while continuing to serve white customers at the same bar. Complaint filed, ignored by management. Ignored. Madison is sobbing openly now, her mascara creating dark rivers down her cheeks as she realizes the scope of what she's been part of. Lisa Wilson, assistant manager, May 18th, told a black family their reservation was lost despite confirmation emails while seating walk-in white customers immediately. Complaint filed. Dismissed without investigation. Victoria looked directly at Robert with laser focus. All reported to management. All ignored. All contributing to a hostile environment that violates federal law. Robert tries one last desperate defense, his voice cracking with panic. You're humiliating people in public. This isn't how corporate... I'm saving this business. Victoria cuts him off with surgical precision. Board members, are you hearing this systematic failure? William Patterson's voice is grim as winter. We hear it, Victoria. What's your recommendation? Victoria surveys the staff with the cold assessment of a general reviewing troops. Some look genuinely shocked, learning about incidents they never knew occurred. Others avoid eye contact, guilt written across their faces like confessions. A few seem defiant, still not understanding the gravity of their situation. I recommend immediate termination for all employees directly involved in discrimination incidents. I recommend mandatory retraining for all remaining staff. And I recommend... Her phone buzzes with a text from her legal team. She glances at it, and for the first time tonight, her composure cracks slightly as she reads the update. Local news crews en route. Restaurant discrimination trending nationally. 50,000 posts and climbing. CNN requesting statement. Victoria looks directly at the phones recording from multiple tables. The judge's wife, the tech executive, the young couple, a food blogger in the corner who's been live streaming to her 30,000 followers. I recommend we use this moment to set a new standard for the entire hospitality industry. Victoria turns to Robert, her voice carrying the weight of absolute judgment. Robert Williams, you are terminated effective immediately. Your final paycheck will include severance as required by law. Your non-disclosure agreement is void due to discrimination violations. Robert's voice breaks completely, reduced to begging. My son, his medical bills, the cancer treatment. Victoria's expression softens for just a moment, showing the humanity beneath the corporate authority. Your son's ongoing medical care continues through our family hardship fund. That's who we are as a company, Robert. That's who you forgot we were. The room watches in stunned silence as Robert realizes the devastating irony. Even as she destroys his career for discriminating against her, she's continuing to save his child's life. Madison Davis, same terms. Termination, severance, no NDA. Your education continues to be supported through our scholarship program. Victoria addresses the remaining staff, her voice carrying both authority and hope for redemption. Everyone else, you have a choice. Stay and be part of the solution, or leave now with dignity and full recommendation letters. But if you stay, you commit to the values that built this company. She holds up the folder one last time, its weight representing months of ignored suffering. These 24 incidents, they end tonight. We're not just firing the people responsible. We're rebuilding this entire operation from the ground up. Board Chairman Patterson's voice comes through the speaker with full corporate backing. Victoria, the board supports your decision unanimously. We're implementing your recommendations company-wide, effective immediately. Victoria nods, then addresses the dining room full of witnesses who will carry this story across the country. This incident will be documented in our annual corporate responsibility report. We're not hiding from this. We're learning from it. She looks around the dining room one final time, her eyes settling on the cameras still recording this moment for history. The question isn't whether discrimination happens in America. The question is what we do when it does. Robert and Madison are escorted toward the exit by security, ironically, not by Anthony, who requested reassignment rather than escort his former colleagues through their walk of shame. As they reach the door, Victoria calls out one last time, her voice carrying across the silent room. Robert? Madison. They turn back, desperate hope flickering in their eyes like dying embers. I genuinely hope you learn from this. I hope you become better people because of tonight. The door closes behind them with the finality of a coffin lid. The real work is just beginning. Within 20 minutes, the first news van pulls up outside like a harbinger of corporate reckoning. Channel 7's investigative team, alerted by the viral social media explosion. The tech executive's live stream has reached 200,000 viewers and climbing. The judge's wife's video has been shared across legal advocacy networks nationwide. Victoria watches through the floor-to-ceiling windows as reporters set up equipment on the sidewalk. She doesn't hide behind corporate PR teams or legal counsel. Instead, she walks to the entrance and opens the doors herself, facing the storm head-on. Channel 7 News, I'm Victoria Thompson, CEO of Thompson Holdings. Tonight, we discovered systemic discrimination at our flagship restaurant. We're not covering it up, we're fixing it. In real time. The lead reporter, Sandra Williams, recognizes the magnitude of this story immediately. A black female CEO publicly addressing discrimination at her own company in real time, with dozens of witnesses recording every word. This is journalism gold. Mrs. Thompson, can you tell us exactly what happened here tonight? Victoria gestures to the dining room full of staff and guests all watching this unprecedented moment of corporate transparency. I was refused service and told there were no tables for my kind of people. What you're witnessing is accountability in action. Back inside, Victoria addresses her remaining staff with the precision of a military commander and the vision of a corporate revolutionary determined to change an entire industry. In the next 48 hours, we're implementing what I'm calling the Thompson Standard. It will become the gold standard for anti-discrimination protocols in the hospitality industry. She pulls out her tablet, scrolling through documents her legal team has been preparing since the incident began. The staff watches in silence as their CEO designs their future in real time. First, every customer interaction will be randomly monitored through AI-potentiated audio analysis. Discriminator language triggers immediate manager alerts and automatic customer service recovery protocols. Assistant Manager Jennifer Parker raises her hand tentatively. What kind of recovery protocols? Full meal comps, personal apology from management, and a $50 gift card. The cost of discrimination just became more expensive than prevention. Victoria continues, her voice gaining momentum like a train building speed. Second, all employees complete monthly bias training, not annual. Completion is tied directly to pay raises and promotion eligibility. Fail the training, forfeit your next review. The kitchen staff exchanges glances. Monthly training means the company is serious about change, not just legal compliance or public relations damage control. Third, customer feedback goes directly to corporate headquarters, bypassing local management entirely. Every discrimination complaint launches an immediate investigation with external mediators from the ACLU and NAACP. Pipe. The nation's Attorney General, known as the FDA's attorney, said Pipe. Board Chairman Patterson's voice comes through the speaker with concern about logistics. Victoria, what's the budget impact of these changes? $2.3 million annually across all locations. But the liability we're preventing? $7.2 million in potential lawsuits, plus immeasurable brand damage that could destroy decades of reputation building. Victoria's legal background, Harvard Law class of 2015, graduated summa cum laude, becomes evident as she outlines the next phase with prosecutorial precision. We're establishing a $2 million victim compensation fund, managed by an independent board including representatives from the NAACP, ACLU, and the National Restaurant Association. She looks directly at the cameras still recording, addressing America itself. Any customer who experiences discrimination at our restaurants receives immediate compensation. No lawsuits, no NDAs, no cover-ups, no legal intimidation. The judge's wife lowers her phone, recognizing the legal brilliance of this approach. By creating a compensation mechanism, Victoria is removing the adversarial nature of discrimination complaints while ensuring victims receive justice. Furthermore, Victoria continues with the confidence of someone who's thought through every angle, all discrimination incidents will be reported in our quarterly public reports. Full transparency. If we mess up, you'll know about it within 90 days. Jennifer Parker asks the question everyone's thinking. What if other restaurants don't adopt these standards? Victoria's smile is slight but confident, carrying the weight of market certainty. Then they'll lose customers to us. The market will decide whether discrimination is profitable. Victoria's phone rings again. This time, the caller ID shows National Restaurant Association, President. She accepts the call on speaker, making this conversation part of the public record. Victoria, this is David Martinez from the NRA. We've been watching the social media coverage. We'd like to discuss your innovations. David, perfect timing. I'm about to make you an offer that will change the industry. The dining room listens as Victoria essentially challenges an entire industry to evolve or become extinct. The Thompson Standard becomes open source. Any restaurant can implement our protocols, use our training materials, access our monitoring technology. Free of charge, no licensing fees. David's surprise is audible through the speaker. You're giving away proprietary technology that cost millions to develop? I'm giving away the tools to end discrimination. What restaurants do with those tools will separate the leaders from the dinosaurs headed for extinction. Victoria looks around the room, her voice carrying the weight of absolute conviction. In 12 months, customers will choose restaurants based on their discrimination prevention records. We're not just changing our company, we're changing consumer expectations. Marcus's voice comes through the phone with legal updates. Ms. Thompson, our legal team has finished drafting the implementation timeline. Read it to everyone, Marcus. Week 1, all staff complete emergency bias training. Week 2, AI monitoring system goes live across all locations. Week 3, customer feedback portal launches with direct CEO access. Week 4, first monthly training session begins, company-wide. Victoria adds her personal commitment. And starting tonight, I personally review every customer complaint within 24 hours. My direct email goes on every receipt, every table tent, every business card. The tech executive looks up from his phone, where he's been chronicling every detail for his professional network. You're making yourself personally accountable to every customer? I'm making discrimination my personal responsibility to prevent, Victoria responds with unwavering resolve. Because the moment a CEO stops caring about how customers are treated is the moment that company deserves to fail. Sandra Williams from Channel 7 approaches with her camera crew, recognizing this as the story that will define her career. Ms. Thompson, this story is already trending nationally. What's your message to other business owners watching this unfold? Victoria looks directly into the camera, her voice carrying the quiet power that has defined this entire evening. Discrimination isn't a training problem. It's not a policy problem. It's a leadership problem. And it ends when leaders decide it ends. She pauses, letting the weight of her words settle across the room and into the cameras that will broadcast this moment to millions. Tonight, my company failed a customer. Me. In the most basic way possible. But instead of hiding from that failure behind lawyers and PR teams, we're using it to build something better. The camera captures her surrounded by staff, guests, and witnesses who have watched corporate accountability happen in real time. To every business owner watching this, you have a choice. You can hope discrimination doesn't happen, or you can build systems that prevent it. The Thompson Standard is yours to use. The question is whether you have the courage to implement it. Victoria turns back to her staff with the authority of someone who has just changed an industry. Questions? Anthony Rodriguez, the security guard, raises his hand with military precision. Ma'am, what happens to those of us who were part of tonight's incident? Victoria's expression softens slightly, showing the compassion that drives her leadership. Anthony, you followed management's directive based on false information. You apologized when you realized the mistake. That's exactly the kind of accountability we want to build into our systems. She looks around the room one final time, her voice carrying the weight of transformation. This isn't about punishment. This is about prevention. This is about building a company where what happened tonight can never happen again. The dining room erupts in spontaneous applause, from staff, from guests, from the news crew capturing history. Change isn't just coming, change has arrived, and it's wearing a tailored black dress. Robert Williams's termination makes the morning news cycle across 3 states. But instead of becoming a cautionary tale about cancel culture, it becomes a masterclass in corporate responsibility. Robert doesn't fight the firing. He doesn't hire a lawyer to contest the decision. He doesn't give interviews claiming victimhood or reverse discrimination. He enters therapy. "I need to understand how I became someone who could treat another human being that way," he tells his counselor during their first session. The video of his breakdown has been viewed 3 million times. The comments range from mockery to surprising support for his apparent genuine remorse. As he watches his imagined remorse, Madison Davis withdraws from her hospitality management program and switches her major to social justice studies. Her professor assigns Victoria's handling of the incident as required reading for Corporate Accountability in Action. Madison writes her first paper on the experience. From perpetrator to advocate, learning from my own discrimination. Within 48 hours, the Thompson Standard is downloaded by restaurant chains in 17 states. The National Restaurant Association receives over 200 calls requesting implementation guidance. Victoria's legal team works around the clock to process requests for the open-source discrimination prevention technology. Anthony Rodriguez receives a promotion to head of security for all Thompson Holdings locations. His first initiative? A veteran recruitment program that prioritizes character over convenience, integrity over intimidation. "We're not just hiring guards," he tells the local Veterans Association. "We're hiring guardians of dignity." Victoria stands in the same dining room where she was humiliated, reviewing quarterly reports that read like a business school case study in how doing the right thing drives profits. Customer satisfaction scores up 37%. Employee retention up 52%. Revenue up 28% across all locations. But the numbers that matter most to Victoria are different, more meaningful than any financial metric. Discrimination complaints? 0 in the past 6 months. Customer compliments specifically mentioning staff respect and inclusivity up 400%. Employee referrals from current staff up 200%. The AI monitoring system has prevented 43 potential incidents by alerting managers to problematic language before customers were affected. Every alert triggered immediate coaching, not punishment. Training, not termination. But we're not catching people doing wrong, Victoria explains to Harvard Business Review during their feature interview. We're helping people do better before they make mistakes that hurt others. 17 major restaurant chains adopt Thompson's standard protocols within 6 months. Applebee's, Denny's, and TGI Fridays announce comprehensive anti-discrimination overhauls based on Victoria's open-source framework. Essence stated, "The results create a domino effect across the hospitality industry that extends far beyond restaurants. Marriott Hotels adapts the customer feedback portal for their properties nationwide. Hilton implements the AI monitoring system in their call centers and front desk operations. Even airlines begin exploring how the Thompson Standard could prevent the discriminatory incidents that regularly go viral and cost millions in public relations damage." Victoria receives an invitation to speak at the National Restaurant Association's annual conference. Her keynote, "Profit Through Prevention," becomes the most watched presentation in the organization's 70-year history. Discrimination isn't just morally wrong, she tells the audience of 12,000 restaurant owners and managers. It's economically stupid. Every incident costs you customers, employees, reputation, and revenue. prevention pays for itself within the first quarter. The standing ovation lasts 7 minutes. Restaurant owners line up afterward to implement the Thompson Standard. Robert Williams becomes an unlikely advocate for workplace bias training. He speaks at management conferences about his experience, never minimizing his actions, but focusing on the systems that enabled his failure. "I wasn't evil," he tells audiences across the country. "I was ignorant, unchecked, and empowered by systems that prioritized comfort over justice." The Thompson Standard removes the ignorance, adds the checks, and changes the power dynamics. His son's cancer treatment continues through the Thompson Holdings Hardship Fund. Robert sends Victoria a handwritten thank you note every month, expressing gratitude for her grace in the midst of justice. She never responds, but she keeps every letter in a file marked Redemption. Madison Davis interns with the ACLU's Discrimination Prevention Program during her junior year. Her senior thesis, From Perpetrator to Advocate, Personal Transformation in Corporate Accountability, wins the university's Social Justice Award and is published in the Journal of Applied Ethics. She applies to law school with a personal statement that begins, "The worst mistake of my life taught me the most important lesson of my life, that dignity is not negotiable, justice is not optional, and change is always possible." Victoria's $2 million Victim Compensation Fund processes its first claim within 2 months. Not from a Thompson Holdings restaurant, but from a competitor whose employee discriminated against a customer who had heard about Victoria's approach. "We're not just preventing discrimination at our restaurants," Victoria tells her legal team during their monthly review. "We're creating expectations that change how customers respond to discrimination everywhere." The fund's independent board, chaired by civil rights attorney Sherilyn Iffel, becomes a model for corporate accountability mechanisms across industries. Tech companies, retail chains, and financial institutions begin establishing similar victim compensation programs. 3 law schools add Victoria's crisis management approach to their corporate law curricula. Stanford Business School creates the Thompson Standard case study for their ethics program. Harvard Law School, Victoria's alma mater, invites her to teach a semester course on corporate accountability in the digital age. The phrase "pulling a Victoria Thompson" enters popular culture, meaning responding to discrimination with systematic change rather than personal revenge or legal warfare. Social media campaigns use Thompson Standard to highlight businesses that prioritize inclusion and dignity. Restaurant review sites add discrimination prevention as a rating category. Yelp creates a special badge for businesses that implement verified anti-bias protocols. Victoria's approach influences sectors far beyond hospitality. Tech companies adopt similar monitoring for online harassment. Retail chains implement customer feedback portals that bypass local management. Financial institutions create bias prevention training based on the Thompson Standard framework. "We didn't just change one restaurant," Victoria reflects during a podcast interview with Oprah that reaches millions of listeners. "We changed how America thinks about accountability." The interviewer asks, "Do you ever regret not just walking away that night?" Victoria's answer becomes a viral clip shared across social media. "Walking away would have protected my feelings for one night. Standing up protected everyone who comes after me for generations." Victoria Thompson stands in the same dining room where her life changed forever. But tonight, she's not alone. She's surrounded by the staff who chose to stay, who chose to grow, who chose to become part of something bigger than themselves. Jennifer Parker, promoted to general manager, presents the restaurant's latest achievement, the first ever zero discrimination certification from the National Restaurant Association. Only 12 restaurants nationwide have earned this designation in its inaugural year. Anthony Rodriguez introduces the newest member of his security team, a young veteran whose daughter will attend college on a Thompson Holdings scholarship. The cycle of opportunity continues. expanding with each passing month. The tech executive from that fateful night returns monthly now, always requesting Table 7. He brings business partners, showing them what corporate accountability looks like in practice. His investment firm now requires all portfolio companies to implement anti-discrimination protocols based on the Thompson Standard. The judge's wife used her viral video to launch a nonprofit focused on documenting and preventing service discrimination. Her organization has processed over 400 complaints and helped 43 businesses implement better practices across the region. Victoria's phone buzzes with a news alert. Thompson Standard, adopted by major hotel chain. Hyatt announces company-wide implementation of bias prevention protocols based on Victoria's framework, affecting over 900 properties worldwide. The original TikTok video of her confrontation has been viewed 47 million times. But more importantly, the hashtag Thompson Standard has been used to document positive changes at thousands of businesses across America and internationally. Robert Williams appears on a morning show, 18 months sober and working as a bias prevention consultant. He's helped 37 companies overhaul their training programs. His speaking fees go directly to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. "I destroyed my career through ignorance and hate," he tells the host with genuine remorse. "But Victoria Thompson showed me that redemption is possible when you do the work to earn it every single day." Madison Davis graduates law school next month with a specialization in civil rights law. Her first job, working for the firm that represents Victoria's Victim Compensation Fund, helping other discrimination victims find justice. During her TEDx talk titled The Quiet Revolution, Victoria addresses the question everyone asks: was it worth it? People want to know if I'm glad I didn't just walk away that night. They want to know if the confrontation, the public humiliation, the media circus was worth the pain and exposure. She pauses, looking out at an audience that includes restaurant owners, corporate executives, civil rights leaders, and ordinary people who've been discriminated against in their daily lives. Here's what I know. In the 2 years since that night, the Thompson Standard has prevented over 2,000 documented discrimination incidents. 2,000 people who didn't have to experience what I experienced. The audience erupts in sustained applause that lasts nearly 3 minutes. So yes, it was worth every uncomfortable moment. Victoria's voice drops to that same quiet power that commanded a dining room 2 years ago and changed an industry. But this story isn't finished. It's not finished until discrimination in service industries becomes so rare, so unthinkable, that videos like mine become historical curiosities instead of weekly viral content. She looks directly into the camera, broadcasting her talk worldwide to millions of viewers. You have a choice. You can hope discrimination doesn't happen in businesses you frequent, or you can demand the systems that prevent it. Victoria's final words become a rallying cry that spreads across social media within hours. Ask restaurants if they follow anti-discrimination protocols. Ask hotels about their bias prevention training. Ask businesses how they handle complaints. Make prevention profitable by making discrimination expensive through your choices. Share this story if you believe accountability drives change. Comment with your own experiences, the good and the bad. Subscribe to stay informed about businesses doing better. If you want to stay in touch, you can send, but most importantly, remember this. The goal isn't to destroy people who discriminate. The goal is to create systems that make discrimination impossible. That's the Thompson Standard. That's the standard we should all demand. And it starts with you. The video ends with Victoria standing in her restaurant, surrounded by a diverse staff and customer base that reflects the America she's helping to build. The platinum key fob sits on her desk, no longer hidden but displayed proudly. A reminder that true power comes not from hiding who you are, but from using who you are to lift others up. The screen fades to black with white text. The Thompson Standard is free to implement. Download resources at thompsonstandard.org. Like this video if you believe in accountability. Share it if you want change. Subscribe for more stories of people who turned humiliation into transformation. What would you have done in Victoria's situation? Tell us in the comments below.